first time here was September of '86. And man, has this place changed since that time.
A lot has changed, I think, since then. This place looks completely different than I remember.
Man, has it grown. It's, I don't know, it seems 4 or 5 times the size it was when I first came here.
There's a lot more taller buildings than there used to be.
I mean, it's like being in Manhattan now. It's incredible. The good thing about Thailand is it's still dirt cheap here. I mean, you can stay in a really nice hotel for $20 or $30 a night.
I've found that the prices here are very economical. A meal can be had for, $3 or $4.
Between the living conditions and the food, it seems to be very inexpensive to me. So it might be a good opportunity for some missionaries to come and be involved in reaching this nation with the gospel.
It was a long flight. As soon as they opened the doors, you just feel this waft of hot air just kind of blow past you, and then you know you're in Thailand. That brought back a lot of memories instantaneously from when I was a kid.
I like Thailand a lot. It's so good.
This is the place where my grandpa first came. And this is where my dad was when he was a little kid, and he was a missionary here.
On this trip with the families traveling and all like that, I thought it might be a good idea for us to take a couple of days to get over the jet lag. So we did some walking around town, went to some of the same shopping centers I had taken the kids to when they were little, and that was interesting for Daniel to see again, as well as his wife and his 2 daughters, because they're about the same age now that Daniel and Sarah were when I brought them.
We're at that hotel. Bangkok.
Bangkok is it's different, and it's on the other side of the world. It's not like America.
We took the family around just to see some of the sights around Bangkok. We took them in a tuk-tuk ride.
A tuki? Oh, a tutu. I didn't know what it was called.
The kids loved that. Both the girls, especially Elizabeth, really loved to be on that because it's fast and the wind is in your face.
There's no tutus in America, but Bangkok, they are so fast.
Now that Daniel basically, along with my son-in-law Michael, are running our ministry, I thought it'd be prudent to bring him back again so that he can meet the old men who were young men at the first time he came, get to know them and their sons and their Timothys.
We boarded a flight to Chiang Mai.
We met up there with an old friend named Luke B.
This is a guy I haven't seen since I was just a little kid, and it was interesting to be able to meet him again.
Luke is one of the 3 first national preachers that I met when I came to Thailand.
He still has that zeal and that fire inside him. You can really tell. Though he's aged, he's still very, very strong in the ministry.
He's from the tribe Lisu, but he speaks, I don't know, 6 or 7 languages.
We got to go to his home and visit with his nephew who works with children.
We were able to meet his wife. They fed us a delicious Thai and Lisu meal.
That was the kind of food and the flavor and the smell that I remember. And I was really glad that my daughters would get to experience at least some of the things that I experienced when I was that age. Those are things that really cemented me with wanting to be in the ministry as I got older, and really shaped my entire world view. He took us around to some of the tribal villages. Some of them actually did get dressed up and do some of their tribal dances.
The village he took us to was an unevangelized village, and I fully expect next time we come back, I expect that we'll see a church in that village.
We get to ride on an elephant.
30 years ago, I took my kids and my wife to an elephant farm where the elephants play soccer and show you how they pick up logs with their trunks and all like that, but you can also go on elephant rides.
We fed them. We saw a show, and they painted.
It gave them memories that they will never forget. And I saw Daniel doing with them the same thing I did with him, reminding them that if he wasn't a missionary, they wouldn't be able to see an elephant. And I always wanted my kids to see that because we serve God, we get all these various opportunities that other people don't get to enjoy.
So we left Chiang Mai and headed up north, and on the way we stopped at a village called Zion Hill.
If you know our story, you'll know that's where I first went and preached to the Akha tribe. At that time, there were only a handful of Akha believers. And Jimmy looked at me and said, preach to them. I said, what do I preach? He said, just preach. And they began to calm down. And then they asked me to come inside. This was one long building at the time of bamboo. And we preached till 2 a.m., 12 hours of preaching. Way down there, they heard that something was going on up here, and they all started coming. This building was packed out with people.
I venture to say that if it hadn't been for this place, Final Frontiers never would have been started.
That night, many of them came to Christ, and I learned so much from them, and we began supporting our first preachers.
The bamboo huts that were so prevalent at the time have been replaced by concrete block buildings. So the feel was a little bit different, but you could really sense the love of the people there.
This so far has been an emotional time for me because of seeing old friends. Some have died.
Although Jimmy has gone to be with the Lord years ago, his family is still serving in Christ today. And as we met with Ken, his nephew, he showed us the gravesite of his uncle.
Jimmy Tatchingham had built a concrete block building there as a Bible institute, and now it's being used as a church service.
We sang praises to the Lord in languages that we can't understand, but we did understand the tune of the music. And there was a man who had guarded us the entire night to make sure that no snakes would come in and get us. I got to meet that man, Tulu Ajah.
They have spread the gospel so thoroughly that they now told me that 95% of the Akha villages in Thailand are considered to be Christian villages. And that all took place in less than 30 years.
Finally, we reached our destination in Mae Sai. Mae Sai is actually on the border between Thailand and Burma. When I was a child, the whole city was basically maybe equivalent of one city block that had a small hotel called the Top North and just smaller shops and buildings, and the rest was just residential areas, small homes. Now it's grown up quite a bit. So this place is just exploded. Me and my sister had our allowance, and there was all these refugees that had come across the border. So me and my sister pooled our allowance and bought a bunch of food. It was right back there. I don't know if it's still empty lots, probably not.
Chicken fried rice is good.
I like the rice. I like the...
And they have like corn pie and pineapple pie and spinach pie.
I ate a fruit yet like the other day. Like a fruit. It was so good.
We went through the Thai side, presented our passports. They stamped that we were leaving the country. We continued to walk across the bridge, across the river that separates the border between Thailand and Myanmar, and it was starkly different from the Thai side. You could tell that the economy was a little bit less affluent. It didn't take long before we started to get a lot of strange looks from people. People would walk by, stand behind trees and stare at us. Men with dark glasses would come up, look, walk away. The young man who was assisting us didn't want to acknowledge that we were there. He was kind of standing off by himself. It's my understanding that the level of persecution in Burma is, while it's not as bad as some countries like Laos, it still exists.
I got to meet with Nikal, and they were thrilled. I brought some copies, and they got to see photographs of themselves 30 years ago when their kids were little, when they had black hair. Nikal has, I think, 7 children's homes in Burma.
He took us to the first orphanage, and there my daughters actually got to meet the 2 little girls that they sponsor from their allowance.
We gave some presents to the kids.
We brought them a toy. They did not have a lot of food.
Those children were orphaned because I believe their father was a preacher and had died, and so these brothers and sisters took them in and have been feeding them, clothing them, and educating them ever since. And from my standpoint, it's an honor to be able to support those kids.
The kids' beds are like wood, and our beds are like mattresses.
They put this cream on our cheeks and our nose and our ears. I liked it.
They sang a song to us. It was just beautiful.
Or it breaks your heart in a good way. While we were there, my wife sponsored one of the girls.
After that, we went to see the Bible school, where they're training young men to preach the gospel. And one thing that was really special to me is I got to meet two of the preachers that we support. While they are in Burma, they're actually on the border of China, and they go back and forth.
To sit there and listen to them tell us stories about churches they've started, villages they've evangelized, people they've led to Christ.
They had come down at their own expense with what little funding that they had just to be able to meet us, and that was incredibly special to me, to be able to sit there and speak to them and learn about different ways that we can assist them in furthering the gospel. If that was the only thing that happened this entire trip, that would make the whole thing worthwhile.
We're going to be providing curriculum for some of them as they need it, helping them to put roofs on, to buy chairs to sit down in, pencils and pens to study with, everything that you would need for a Bible school. We got the teachers, but if that's the sort of ministry that God's put on your heart to help with training preachers, then I just want you to know that we have a wide open door of opportunity, not just here, but around the world. Some of you are interested in Bible translation. The Akka Bible, which they use to preach with, is a Bible we supported the translators who were translating the Bible. That was the first time, but it's not the last time we've done that. Children's work, youth work, supporting preachers, mass evangelism, printing Bibles, smuggling Bibles, whatever you're interested in doing, you can hook up and partner with us, and working together we can get a lot more accomplished than we would ever get accomplished singular.
It's a very common view nowadays to be everything is me, what can I get for myself, how can I better the situation for myself. And I grew up realizing that although we didn't have it great, there was a lot of people who were worse, way worse off than I was, and that really helped shape my entire perception of the world. I wanted to hopefully instill some of that in my children, replace some of that natural inborn selfishness with selflessness.
The Akka in Thailand know Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Some Akka in Burma know, but most don't. And in China they don't know, in Laos they don't know. You cannot go. You can. I cannot speak the language. You can. Some of you who look at this may have been helping us 30 years ago. But that's your harvest that's coming in. It's your harvest as much as it's mine and as much as it's theirs. Praise God for all that He's done, and thank you for all that you've done to help us.